Well, hello. It's the 12th day of December, 2021, and this is the Good Life Meditation. I'm Kurt Bell. I do this every day. I've done so every day for quite a number of years, and this is how I remind myself of my direction in life and the how to stay on track. So I recite my 7 objectives and 27 principles, soon to be 29. I've developed 2 more principles in the last few months. I've actually decided where to put them. I just haven't quite figured out how to squeeze them into this routine. So I will. Um, Here we go. Well, first I have to think about yesterday. So yesterday was Saturday, and so there's not a lot of chance of ambush from work on Saturday. Although I do think about work. My wife does too. We had an interesting conversation as she and I were driving to do our shopping, and she was asking about how to keep work from bubbling, how I keep work from bubbling into my mind during the weekend. And I told her that I don't. And she doesn't either. So she does the same thing. Neither of us have a good way of stopping it. I think it's just our nature. Otherwise, it was a good day yesterday. A very busy day. Really, just filled with busyness. Last night was all right. I slept well. Tired this morning, though. Okay, let's do this. My 7 objectives are first one is to be always ready to die, to have everything ready to go. 2 is to make good use and effective use of my time. Yesterday was a good example of that. It was a productive day. Productive in terms of the ends that I want to achieve. I was able to, in the midst of everything, I was putting some edits on the newer book, the newest book, the Good Life, and I was able to get the edits in, which was a lot of work. It's so much work editing books. It's so much easier just to write them. And then 3 is the development and maintenance. I have a feeling today's going to be tough. This is going to be a rough one to get through. I get these sometimes. More often than not, they're rough, doing these good life meditations. It's like more of a chore than anything else, but an important chore, like taking a shower. You can get away without it, but your day and your life might not be quite so good, or at least quite so hygienic. So the third one is the development and maintenance of good and sound life principles. That's what I'm doing right now. Number 4 is the cultivation of good emotional reactions. Next is the performance of good actions, followed by the I had an example. I'll just pull this out of the air. Yesterday I was walking the dogs, and we went to one of the 2 parks in the area. And at this park there is a one of those little stations where you can go and get the dog poop bags, and it's got a little tin you can put them in when they're used. And typically that park doesn't have any poop bags. So I thought I'll go take a look. And I went, and there's usually 3 rolls, and all of them are just empty. But there was one bag kind of sticking out, like someone had stuffed it back in. So I thought, oh, there's a bag. So I reached in and I pulled the bag out, and it was indeed the last one. and but I needed one. I mean, I had one, and I always like to have one in reserve. And I pulled it out, and I began to fold it, and I would immediately realize something's amiss here. And then I looked at it, and someone had deliberately had their dog pee all over it. I mean, copious amounts of urine, quite distinct. Quite distinct it was urine. And then they'd somehow taken it and carefully stuffed it together and put it back in that slot in such a way that it would ambush someone, the next person, me, when I pulled it out, and I wound up with the dog urine all over myself, all over my hands, and kind of, splashed all over me. It wasn't a lot, but and I was able to just wipe. Grass was kind of moist, so I wiped my hands off in the grass. But I was thinking to myself, wow, that's the definition of. I know this sounds like too strong a word, but I'm going to use it. That's the definition of evil. That's how I define evil, is the deliberate, intentional effort to not pursue the well-being of others, right? Evil is when we deliberately try to make the world a better place, or make upset, or cause upset, or frustrate well-being. That was a case of that, right? I mean, someone deliberately did that to make things worse. That's the opposite of what I have in mind with this principle of doing good things. The next principle is the recognition of true limits and true opportunities. What is and what is not within my reach of capability. And the next one is the last objective is to just do one thing slowly. Now my 27 principles. The first of these is the principle of war, to be always at war with everything that I hold to be true. 2 is the principle of reason, to use reason as my instrument in that war. And to remember reason's 3 sub-principles, to be honest, to be objective in my thinking, and to be reason, honest, objectivity, and there's a third one. Boy, I'm really out of it this morning. Man. Honesty, object, doubt, to be a skeptic. That's the third one. Come on, Kurt, snap out of it. Next is the homunculus, the idea that there's a little person inside my head, not really, but just an idea, and that little person will die with me. No escape. My consciousness, basically. Consciousness is connected to us. Next is the Anchorhold, the place where we suffer and die. Oh, and I did something. Let's try this out. Yumiko and I were at the office supply store yesterday, and she got herself a little whiteboard for work purposes, and I said, I'm going to get one too, because I wanted to use it to draw a picture. So of the homunculus, let's see if this works. It's the homunculus upon the Anchorhold. It's like a little rock sticking out of the sea. And this morning, the sea is rather calm. at a distance. And the sun is out. Just some little splashing around the edge. Kind of looks like that. Little guy seated on a rock. The water is not too close or too high. The sun is out. It's kind of a placid day. Dull, maybe? Not much happening. How do I capture the sense of I feel like I have this morning, I have this kind of like feeling of malaise. I don't think I can capture that. Maybe take the sun away. Put in some big hairy clouds, maybe. I don't know. I'm not too good at capturing the. I tried to capture the darkness. It's not dark. It's just kind of this doesn't quite capture it. Kind of a. Blah. Yeah, it's kind of a blah day. Okay, I'll put this over here so I remember to wipe it off. That's the Anchorhold. Next is the Home of Good and Evil, the catalog of right and wrong written inside my head. Next is the Principle of Purpose and the 3 sub-principles of biology, virtue, and mission. Making kids and having a family, living a virtuous life, not putting plastic bags full of dog pee back in the dog poop bag container dispenser. And mission, what mission we want to live our lives to do. Biology, virtue, and mission. Next is the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing. Okay, now what principle can I use to get through this? This is a minor issue. It's not like a big deal. But fortitude. Let me muster some fortitude to get through this good life meditation because I'm struggling a little bit. I'll use fortitude just to press through, but I'll also use maturity to remember to be careful and to not race through and neglect this, because it is important to remember these things for me. Okay, so atomic principle, the principle of nature. Everything has some particular nature. It's the nature of a Sunday morning to be a little bit lazy and tired. Maybe I should have slept in, something I don't really do. Maybe that's the problem. I'm not motivated by the fact that work would start in a couple of hours. And all our chores are done, all our shopping is done. I really have a full day free. Wow. Maturity is the next one. The sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude. We're wise when we remember what has worked and hasn't worked in the past. And fortitude is what it takes to not make those mistakes again and to keep on the good path. Social principle. We're social animals. We need one another to survive. Public speaking is the principle that suggests that we should use few words and carefully chosen words, deliberate words, and to not talk about others without thinking that they can hear what we say, so we don't gossip about them. The next is the principle of temperance, and the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. After that comes the Feast of Offal and the spreading of the waste of our unprincipled and undisciplined living, to not live a temperate life and to not care to if we're not sharing that with others, which doesn't do anybody really any good. Just be spewing that excess about. Next is the principle of temperance and the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Apathy is to being able to recognize what is without our control and to be all right with that. I think I messed them up a little bit. I think I meant to do, or did I do them twice? Then comes the Feast of Offal. I wound up with the Feast of Offal twice. So, social principle, public speaking, temperance, apathy. It's supposed to be in that order. Then comes distraction. We distract ourselves through all kinds of things so that we don't have to see the great indifference, the great emptiness of the universe. Followed by the best seat in the house, to not want to be anyone else or be anywhere else or be doing anything else, but to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. Then the Path of Wildness, its way forward into and through new life. Uphill. Then comes the risk of avoiding risk, the deep level and the surface level risks of life, and the attempt to try to pursue both risks, to address the elements that relate to both of those risks. Sin, after risk and avoiding risk comes, the risk of avoiding risk comes sin and damnation, and there are 7 sins in my worldview: credulity, an over-eagerness to believe; hope, which is want without effort; faith, which is belief without evidence; superstition, which is a category of belief practically recognized by society as nonsense; dogma is belief because of it's written down as such, and as such a tradition; authority, belief because someone with a fancy hat says so; and tradition. I think I covered that, but did I want that one in there? Maybe not. Maybe I don't want tradition in there. Maybe I want to have, I don't think so, because it's too broad. I wanted to have gossip is the last one. Sin and damnation, and we're damned because we're damned when we engage in those sins. Damn it. Complete oblivion? No. Yes. Complete oblivion. And the idea that there is no final reunion after death. We'll never see anybody again. There'll be no final justice because there's apparently no justice giver. And no reconciliation, because there's no afterlife to, wherein we can reconcile things. Those aren't statements of us, those aren't positive statements that I know that that's the case. Those are statements that I assume that I live as though that's the case, because I see no reason to think otherwise. They're operational assumptions, tentatively held. After that comes the great life adventure. It's one or more things that we do in our life that marks our life. It becomes the centerpiece of our life. Things that we've done, adventures that we've had, experiences we've curated or fostered that define us. The season of philosophy is a time to record our words, whatever we wanted to say about this experience of being alive. The bullseye aim, the attempt to hit the mark and usually missing. The uphill climb, trudge and march forward and upward. Not just sitting on the sofa. Arena and utility. Life is a forum, and our objectives and principles are the tools that we use to get by. And the last one, nothing is enough. It really is enough. Oh, boy, I am out of it. Oh. So let's talk about today. It's a Sunday, all my chores are done. Shopping is complete. It's a free day. I don't do well with free days. That's why I think that retirement is going to be a challenge for me. I need something to do. I can find stuff to do. I can find worthwhile things to do, good things to do. But I think if I was permanently retired, if I didn't have work to go to every day, I think I'm going to struggle a little bit with that. Maybe a lot. Which is interesting. I never thought I was going to be that guy. Don't worry. I'll find stuff. I'll find good and useful stuff to do with my time. Helpful to the world. But it's interesting. So today's a mini example of that. In the month that I had off between my jobs currently, between my job in Ventura and my new job in Riverside, was a challenging month, even though I was quite busy. And with that, I think I'll call it quits for today. It's been a good day. I'm back on my little homunculus there. There's the placid seas and the kind of the dark skies, not too cold, not too hot. It's not a bad day, but it's a day to do something about. Be safe, but not too safe.